Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Pratik. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe. Jai Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Jai Prabhupada. Nithai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sada Shri Srimad Divine Grace Labai Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sada Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जाय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जाय। नवद्वीप श्री मायपुर धाम की जाय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जाय। गंगा माँ यमुना माई की जाय। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जाय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जाय। द मोस्ट मर्सिफुल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री गौनिथाय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र महारानी की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। निथाय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama-sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachina Barhi, text number 73. Arte hya vidyamanepi Arte hya vidyamanepi Samsmritirna nivartate Samsmritirna nivartate Dhyayato Vishayan Asya Dhyayato Vishayan Asya Swapne Anartha Gamo Yatha Swapne Anartha Gamo Yatha Arte hya vidyamanepi Samsmritirna nivartate Dhyayato Vishayan Asya Swapne Anartha Gamo Yatha Arte hya vidyamanepi Samsmritirna nivartate Dhyayato Vishayan Asya Swapne Anartha Gamo Yatha. Arte hya vidyamanepi Samsmritirna nivartate Dhyayato Vishayan Asya Swapne Anartha Gamo Yata. Arte hya vidyamanepi Samsmritirna nivartate Dhyayato Vishayan Asya Swapne Anartha Gamo Yatha. Any Matajis? Samsmritirna nivartate ध्यायतो विषयानस्य स्वप्ने अनर्थागमो यथा। जय श्री श्री गौनिताय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की। अर्थे sense objects he certainly avidyamane not being present api although some smritihi material existence na never nivartate ceases dhyayataha meditating vishayan on the sense objects asya of the living being swapne in dream anartha of unwanted things agamaha appearance yatha as. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: when the living entity dreams, the sense objects are not actually present. However, because one has associated with the sense objects, they become manifest. Similarly, the living entity with undeveloped senses does not cease to exist materially, even though he may not be exactly in contact with the sense objects. Please repeat. When the living entity dreams, the sense objects are not actually present. However, because one has associated with the sense objects, they become manifest. Similarly, the living entity with undeveloped senses does not cease to exist materially, even though he may not be exactly in contact with sense objects. Purport: it is sometimes said that because a child is innocent, he is completely pure. Actually, this is not the fact. The effects of fruitive activities reserved in the subtle body appear in three concurrent stages. One is called bija, the root, another is called kutastha, the desire, and another is called phalonmukha, about to fructify. The manifest stage is called prarabdha, already in action. In a conscious or unconscious state, the actions of the subtle or gross bodies may not be manifest, but such states cannot be called the liberated state. A child may be innocent, but this does not mean that he is a liberated soul. Everything is held in reservation, and everything will become manifest in due course of time. Even in the absence of certain manifestations in the subtle body, the objects of sense enjoyment may act. The example has been given of a nocturnal emission in which the physical senses act even when the physical objects are not manifest. The three modes of material nature may not be manifest in the subtle body, but the contamination of the three modes remains conserved, and in due course of time, it becomes manifest. Even if the reactions of the subtle body and gross bodies are not manifest, one does not become free from material conditions. Therefore, it is wrong to say that a child is as good as a liberated soul. Mojjanatimrandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarobhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Bunda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite grim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. It's a very eye-opening purport in the sense that some of the biggest misconceptions that we have in society, that child is equal to God, child is very pure, all those things. So what actually a child is, what happens in a dream state, what happens in a conscious state. So all these things are very scientifically explained. In ignorance, we may assume many things, and those are not facts. And we may pass on lifetimes without knowing those facts. But if we apply our, submission to the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, explained by Srila Prabhupada, then eyes will be open to reality. And the reality about how a living entity is not very innocent in this world is explained. Whether living entity is in a child state or a, any other state above the child state is not innocent. And everyone knows that the elderly state or the youth state of a personality of a jiva is not very innocent, because all those things start manifesting. But at least we tend to think that, child state is very innocent, pure state. Innocence is not considered as purity. Innocence is ignorance, another kind of ignorance. It may not be a conscious exhibition of crookedness, but it is an unmanifested crookedness. Crookedness is there in everyone. It's not manifest in a child state, but it manifests in a later state. So that does not give the child or qualify the child to be equal to a liberated state. That is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining. Now, what actually happens in a dream state is explained by Srila Prabhupada. How the senses and the sense objects function, all these things are explained. Firstly, the dream state is not a sinless state. That is the point I wanted to talk about. It is not a sinless state. Why it is not a sinless state? Because if we are sinful during the day, then its effects will manifest in the dream state. Or if you are contaminated in a conscious state, then we are contaminated in unconscious state as well. Because this is just an extended state. Just like when there is dissolution of this world, what happens is that उसको रोको हो उसको कुछ समय के लिए. So when there is a dissolution of this world, what actually happens, all the living entities, they enter into a susupta avastha. Susupta avastha means practically they are in a coma state without any gross body. Even the subtle body is very inert, practically not having a subtle body also. Because subtle body is always active during the manifest state, but during the susuptavastha state, the subtle body is not fully developed also. So that is a very primitive state of the living entity. So even in the primitive state of the living entity, when there is creation again the living entity comes back and then starts doing his crooked activities because the vasanas have not been completely eradicated. So where are those vasanas? Where are those impressions? Those impressions are in a state of desire. That is called kutastha. Kutastha, bija, prarabdha, aprarabdha, all these are states are explained. All of us, we had desires, and those desires have manifested in certain, certain form, and acting on those desires resulted certain reactions, and those reactions are found in these four states: kuta, bija, prarabdha, aprarabdha. Prarabdha means what is already going on. Aprarabdha is yet to come. Kuta means in a seed state, and bija means seed state. Kutastha means unmanifested in the desire state. All these states are explained. So here the one important line in this text is dhyayato vishayanasya. Dhyayato vishayanasya means everything manifests into an action based on the desires that we cultivate. Just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, dhyayate vishyan pumsha sangaste shupajayate sangat sanjayate kamat krodho bijayate krodat bhavati sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinashat pranashyati. It's something which is set into motion, and then till it gets destroyed, it will be set into motion. So the initial state of putting into motion has to be stopped, or it has to be directed properly. Because you can't stop dhyaya, or you can't stop thinking. Sometimes people, they try to interpret things in such a way. I heard one man was announcing to another group of people, now you focus on, mind is full of thoughts, and when it runs, you try to meditate on that state, which is a gap between one desire to another desire, one thought to another thought. You understand? As if he has found the gap, and as if he can live in that gap forever. He is asking his, fellow men to focus or concentrate on that gap between one thought to another thought. Sir, it is not. There is no gap between one thought to another thought. It is like a honey. When honey is pouring, you will not find a gap between one drop to the another drop. Similarly, there is no gap between one thought to another thought. This is just an imagination. And try to create a space, try to create vacuum between one thought to another thought, which doesn't exist. This is cheating. That is how these people ask us to, meditate on a desireless state. How can you meditate on a desireless state? Because desiring a desireless state is also a desire. Why we don't understand this? Isn't it? Desireless state you are desiring. So that's a desire. So there is nothing like a desireless state, because constantly you are flooded with desires. What you need to do is that you have to divert those desires towards Krishna conscious activities. Then that setting into motion will not be leading to destruction, it will be leading to liberation. So dhyayate vishayan pumsha, if that happens, that has to be corrected. So it has to be corrected at this pre-seed state, or unmanifest state, or desire state. So Shastra says, you think of Krishna, savai mana Krishna padaravindayor, or dhyayanstu vamstasya yasyastri sandhyam vande guru shri charanaravindam. Meditate on the glories of Guru and Krishna. Then the direction is changed. Direction of dhyaya is changed. Otherwise, by default, by conditioning, dhyaya is towards this. Dhyayate vishyan pumshaha. Just like water, by default, water will, flow down. You can't change the water's flow. If you want to change the water flow, you have to apply pressure on the water. A motor has to uplift the water to the, tank. Same way in a conditioned state, like all of us are in a conditioned state, at least I can say for myself and many of us. There may be liberated souls present here whom I cannot recognize, but I'm sure there must be some liberated states, liberated devotees. But in general, when we are talking about in a conditioned state, by default, we think of negative things. All of us have this experience where your senses get attracted to negativity. Something very positive, we don't pay so much of attention. But something negative, we pay so much attention. That's why the whole news channels are about controversies. Isn't it? They don't present, in Iskcon temple there is a Bhagavatam class happened, and in the Bhagavatam class these things are discussed. Is there any article in any newspaper you ever found something like this? You will never find something. If somebody, falls and, break his hand because of some wetness, that becomes the news. Just see the mentality, how the mentality, acts. Why? Because by default, we are all turned towards negativity. So what we need to do, consciously that has to be diverted towards a positive thought process. And you will not get that positive thought process just by your mental concoction, by some kind of a mental adjustment. Some people say, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. Just by, saying it, all is well, all is well, all is well doesn't happen. You have to actually understand how all will be well when you surrender to Krishna. When you hear about the glories of Krishna, when you hear about the glories of the great devotees and their interactions with Krishna, then the mind will be attracted to those things. Satam prasanga mamavirya samvido bhavanti hritkarana rasayana katha tajjoshanadasu apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. So slowly the mind has to be diverted towards this positive thought process. And it is not a small thing, or it happens in short time. It takes time. Because for millions of lifetimes, our mind has been dragged towards these negative things. Senses, sense objects. Senses, sense objects. Senses, sense objects. That's all that our mind is being diverted towards. So here Prabhupada is explaining, even though in the subtle state the sense objects are not present, even then the physical senses act. That is something very interesting. And Prabhupada gives example of nocturnal emission. Or not only just that, but there are many things that happens in the dream. Like, you don't find a tiger actually in the physical state, but if the tiger is there in the dream state, then you have a physical sweat coming out of your body. So this is a physical emission. Or sometimes people lose semen in the dream. There is no sense object there directly, physically. But that's what he was saying, nocturnal emission. So these things happen. Why these things happen? The push is already there. When the push is there, in imagination only you actually, the effect of it will fall on the physical senses. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, for a lusty man, women does not have to be present. Even a doll of a woman is sufficient for him to get agitated. So where is that? There is no sense object there, but he is actually getting agitated. That means sense objects are there in the mind. The impression of enjoyment are there in the mind. The impressions of, gratifying the senses, when the senses meet sense objects, is already there. Those impressions are there. So It's a very serious problem. We don't understand how precariously, we are implicated in this material world. Samsmritim ghoram, it is said. Here also the word samsmriti is mentioned here. Samsmriti ghoram means complicated material mesh. That is what this material world is. Uh, so, sometimes it may be important to know the complexity of this material world if we are not simple. For a simple-minded person, you don't have to explain. You just say, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they will chant Hare Krishna. But for a complicated man, you have to explain all these things. There is a susupavasta state, there is an unmanifested state, there is a manifested state. These are the desires, and these are the senses, and these are the sense objects. And the senses meet the sense objects, and then there is, because of the meeting of the senses with the sense object, there is a reaction. That reaction is put into an impression, and the impressions are being reinforced from one to the other. All these things have to be explained. Then, the person thinks, now I'm becoming very knowledgeable, very intelligent. But what you have to do after all of this is simply chant Hare Krishna. What is the difference between a doctor and a patient? The doctor gives the prescription, and then he knows the act of the medicine within the body. This medicine will manifest in this way, and these reactions will come, and this is how he fights with this bacteria or virus, or these things are known to the doctor. But these things are not known to a patient. All the patient needs to do is just take the medicine given by the doctor. When the doctor becomes a patient, let us say, even then he has to take the medicine, and this knowledge is not adds up to his recovery. You must understand this. His knowledge is not going to be helpful. Just because he knows what is going on inside, the viruses are not going to be less active or super active. So finally, the point is that all this knowledge will converge into devotion. If the devotion is not manifested through knowledge, this knowledge is useless. But this knowledge will be helpful, not in a sense of based on this knowledge, devotion will be manifest. That is a wrong conception. Some people think that, bhakti will come when there is jnana. That is a wrong conception. Jnana will come when you become a bhakta. This big misconception has to be erased in the heart. So many people whom I have interacted, all of them, they say this, bhakti will come later, first jnana. And even if bhakti comes, it is not important. What is important? Jnana only is important. Because bhakti, you can, do for yourself. Jnana, you can distribute and then get a lot of applause. So, it's a selling commodity. Jnana is a selling commodity. For them, bhakti is not a commodity which you can share and distribute, because they don't think that it is distributable. It is something which you can only, do for yourself. So that is why, even though they have a little bhakti, they don't pay so much attention to bhakti. They are more interested in the jnana itself. But a bhakta is different. Bhakta, first of all, comes out of the misconception that jnana doesn't produce bhakti, bhakti produces jnana. Vasudeve Bhagavati, there is a pramana to this. It is not that I am saying, you should believe, there is a pramana. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahetukam. So when you become a devotee of Krishna, then necessary knowledge, necessary detachment will automatically manifest even without your endeavor. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sadurlabha. After accumulating knowledge for many, many lifetimes, one comes to the understanding that Krishna is the supreme and I must surrender to Krishna, which is called bhakti. So, the point is that knowing all these things may be helpful in trying to counsel others, possibly. Because like a doctor knows the symptoms of a disease, and then he will be able to give a proper medicine. Similarly, when people are going through, whether we are going through or others are going through these things, sometimes people come and tell us, oh, dream mein aisa ho gaya, aisa ho gaya. They give more importance to the dreams than the actual life, real life. Because dream state do not have to be too much paid attention to. You don't have to pay so much attention because there is nothing that you can do about it. It is it is an unmanifested state of a desire, which is manifesting in the dream in that way. Physically unmanifested desires or manifested in a subtle state. So there is nothing much you can do. And now let us come to the main point which Srila Prabhupada is mentioning. The main point is that about children. First of all, the misconception has to be erased that children are pure and liberated. They are innocent. They are not pure, they are innocent. So, innocence has certain flexibility. Innocence is something like that of mud, which is what do you call that mud? Moldable mud. Clay. The clay can be molded in a way you like. But if the clay becomes hard and it becomes non-flexible, you can't do anything with the clay. So innocence has certain value. What is that value? You can mold innocence in a certain way before it becomes brittle. The clay, when fresh clay, you deal with fresh clay, it has a certain effect. But if it is already dried up because of the sun, you can't do much about it. Similarly, children can be molded, protected and molded up to a certain age. What is that age? Till their senses do not become stronger, their desires do not become manifest strongly, till that time you can protect the children and give good samskaras to the children. So that is why child abuse is considered to be a greatest sin. Because what is a child abuse? You're prematurely jacking up the senses of the child, disturbing the senses of the child prematurely. That is called child abuse. It can be in the form of any abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, whatever abuse it is. Generally in the society, we find that, sexual abuse of the children has a maximum impact on the child's consciousness. So it is considered to be a very great offense, especially in the Western countries. If you are found to be guilty of a sexual abuse, there will be a life imprisonment, practically. In India, still, that is, those strict laws are not coming. They are coming on the way, but it's a very serious offense. It's a serious offense because of this. Because prematurely, like it is, you can say, to have a physical imagination of what it is. You take a mango, raw mango, and try to artificially ripe it by putting chemical to it. What happens? The mango may seem to be, like a ripened mango, but when you actually take the mango, it's very distasteful. Distasteful. Now let me tell you about the taste of a raw mango is nice. The state of a fruit is nice. What is not nice is in between state. You understand what I'm trying to say? The state of raw mango is good. So many people take raw mango, put, this chili powder or whatever it is, and then salt, and then they enjoy that because it's nice. But what is not nice is artificially so-called ripened mango by some artificial process. Child abuse is something like that. the senses which are in a dream state or which are in a which are non-active stage, you're rupturing the senses by abusing the child. And they will suffer till the rest of the life because of premature rupture of those senses. So these things are not known to people. Children are abused in various ways. One of the ways the children are abused are giving them too many things, pampering the children. Whatever the child asks, we have this, no? What is that? Child is innocent. Because child is innocent, you give whatever the child asks. That is nonsense. Child is not innocent. Child is innocent, but child is also foolish. So you give whatever the child wants. Child sees the gun and he says, no, I want a gun. You give, oh, child is innocent, no problem. You give a toy gun. But the toy gun is actually making havoc in his consciousness. What is that? The cruelty is coming out. The very fact that the child is asking for gun, it should give you some indication that in the subtle body is ruptured. That has to be corrected. If you don't correct that subtle body, there is danger is going to come. Unmanifested danger is going to come in the child. So if the parents are educated, then they will know why my child is doing this, asking for this. And then if you know the symptoms, you can correct. Like a doctor can correct if there is a symptom manifested in a certain way. We have no time to see what our children are going through because we are too busy in earning money. Where is the time for seeing what our children are going through? And all these inbuilt impressions are racked up by association. So then when they go to the school, by the association of bad children or good children, certain emotions come out. And then, when you hit the child, beat the child, harshly behave with the child, certain emotions come out. And you will find that, children who are beaten up or harshly treated, you will not find them submissive. You try to extract submission by oppression, which will never come. Submission is extracted through love, not by oppression. So this is how we abuse the child. Or you try to speed up their ambitious state by trying to give some rewards to the child. Hey, you get these many marks, I will give you a mobile. And then with the mobile, the child will be destroyed. Isn't it? Or this starts with in a very, very, very small age. I will show you some jingles in the phone, then you eat. Earlier, mother used to show moon and then make the child eat. Now the moon has come to mobile now. You don't have to go to moon. Moon uska baap bhi aata idhar. Mobile mein. So the child is naturally attracted to the mobile phone right from a very 3 months, 4 months old baby. And then later you want to control the child not to touch the mobile. You are the one who actually habituated the child to get into the mobile business. And now you later on wanted to, control it. How is it possible? So these are all foolishness that is exhibited by the parents who are actually not knowledgeable of these things. If you are knowledgeable, you will not do these things. It requires a great amount of patience to divert I'm carefully using the words, to divert the fruitive thoughts to a state where those thoughts can be used for service to Krishna. And that's a strenuous process, but that's easy from childhood. If that is exercised, it is easy. But after we say in Telugu, it's a nice one. Mokkai vanganadi manai vangutunda. And when it is in a very small, plant, if you want to, put it straight, suppose the plant is like this, and you leave the plant like that, then the tree will grow like this. But you try to, adjust by tying it to a rope and then bring it to a certain state, then it will grow straightly. You can't do that with a big, huge banyan tree. So the clay can be molded, or the child can be molded, or the child's thought process can be molded, or the child's desire can be molded easily when they are in a child state. So Krishna gives us this childhood every time. Childhood is an opportunity to correct our consciousness. They say in English, don't teach new tricks to an old dog. Have you heard that? Don't teach new tricks to old dog, because he can never learn that. Because his subtle body is formed in a certain way. No matter how much you teach, that person will never be able to learn. Exceptions are there, but I'm saying in general that's a principle. So, the whole focus must come to a child state. When the senses are not fully manifest, senses desires are not fully manifest, it is possible to direct the senses and the senses desires towards proper things or pure things. And if you neglect that stage, it's very difficult to correct it later. So, this knowledge is important and helpful for analyzing our own state of consciousness and also for helping others. Just by being, restless with the child, just by being, neglectful, things are not going to become better. You have to understand what the child is going through, the psychology of the child, how different effects are falling on the child because of certain association. Srila Prabhupada said, many times Prabhupada said, he was very much feeling concerned for the children of today's world, because the children are like going to schools where they are being butchered. Prabhupada called these, please sit down, please. Sit down, everyone, please sit down. Prabhupada called these as slaughterhouses. The modern educational system is like a slaughterhouse education system. What is taught in the modern education system to the child? This is the greatest damage happening to the child. Apart from sexual abuse, apart from many things, the whole education system is antithesis to the child's natural instincts, such as you teach the child everything is coming by man's endeavor. Not that everything is coming by grace of God. If you teach this, you have actually killed the child. There and then, you actually killed the child. Or you have taught an ascending process, not a descending process. You've actually killed the child's submissive spirit. It's already killed. And it's very difficult to make the child a devotee. There is a natural submission is there. But that natural submission is disturbed by the modern education. You can do anything. Don't try to ask this person, that person. You can figure out anything by yourself. Don't depend on others unnecessarily like that. These things are taught to the child. Or modern man has invented everything, and in fact, he can improvise on God's creation. Very good, huh? This is what is taught to the child. God is so foolish. He doesn't know what to manifest, what to create, what not to create. So man has become more intelligent than God. So that is why man has created better facilities to this world. And you be one of them. This is what is taught to the child. What can be a bigger slaughterhouse education than this? Killing the child's natural inclination to depend on God, to appreciate God, to be grateful to God. That is being taken away in the modern education. So that is why Prabhupada said this is a slaughterhouse education. So we need a proper educational system to the child. And one of the first important thing that is to be taught to the child is that be grateful to God's creation. You're getting so many things without doing any endeavor. You're breathing air. Who is giving you? Getting water. Who is giving you? Getting all kinds of resources Mother Earth is producing. Who is giving you? It's all given by God. You may be a thief. It does not matter. God is so merciful that the sun even shines in the window of a thief. It does not matter. So, I am being, gracefully treated, not harshly treated by God. God is so merciful. God is so benevolent that should I not become grateful to God, even though I am such a criminal, still He is treating me with grace. This is bhakti. From this, bhakti will come. This is what is to be taught. But if you tell the child, in the modern scenario, if you tell the child that, you are not a very good person, you have committed mistake, that is why we chosen this world. If you tell the child, they think that you are mentally disabling the child. Tell the faults of the child, that this is a fault consciousness, this is a faulty thing to do. If you do that, you are actually disabling the child. That is what they consider. Yesterday, one teacher was telling me, our existence in the school is become so difficult. Even if one child reports to the management that this so-and-so teacher has dealt with me a little strongly, you are fired. You are fired. Just see the educational system. So you have no opportunity to correct or direct that innocence towards liberation. You have no opportunity. That opportunity is taken away. What kind of education system is this? Child has to be corrected. Okay, till 5 you don't correct, but after 5 the child has to be corrected. In US, there is this 911, it is 911. And when the child, is corrected, by the father, and he gave a little slap, immediately this fellow went and, dialed 911. The police came. Police were about to arrest. He was shaken up. The father was shaken up. My child called 911 because the culture is like that. But somehow the police said, unless your child makes up the mind not to put a case, we will have to put the case. So he has to beg the child, beta, galti ho gaya, main dobara nahi karunga aisa, please. So the child said, ठीक है, you go. He said to the police, you go. The police went. Father thought it's a very dangerous situation. So immediately he booked a flight to Delhi next day. As soon as he arrived on the airport, he gave one slap to the fellow. Now you call 911. You rascal fellow. I mean, it's an expression of harshness. It could be dealt differently. But what I'm saying is that this is the danger that the modern education system has. Brahmachare gurukule vasandantor guror hitam acharan nichavaddasaha guror sudhrida saurdubham. It is said the child has to be given menial services of washing the pots, going and begging, and sometimes not even calling for the lunch or breakfast. This is considered a great abuse in the modern system. But this is consciously correcting the child's sense gratificatory thoughts to a spirit of sacrifice by an advanced guru. This is not known to the modern people because the modern people already they have made up an opinion that child is equal to God. Chinna pillalu devatalu. Nonsense. They are unmanifested crookedness is there. That's all. They are crooked, but the crookedness is not yet manifest. You let that out, it will manifest. Soon it will manifest. Don't think that they'll just become saints by leaving them like that. They will become crooked unless you correct them right from the childhood. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in these purports. If we carefully understand these things, apply these things in our life, we can do a great good to ourselves and also to the society at large, especially when others are at a very young age. So I'd like to stop here. Any questions or comments anyone has? You may ask. Here it is.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very wonderful class. Prabhu, Prabhupada said that in these children are from Vaikuntha, especially in the context of devotee children. And this word can be misused, like Prabhupada said, these children are from Vaikuntha, so we should not mistreat them like that. This kind of conception is there. So,
whether they are Vaikuntha children or this children of this world, they should not be mistreated. They should be disciplined. Very rarely Vaikuntha children will come. All the children are not Vaikuntha children. Prabhupada only said that there's a possibility to invite Vaikuntha children in a devotee family. That's what he said. The possibility is utilized, it is well and good. But most of us don't utilize that possibility. Isn't it? All of us know that we don't utilize. You know that it is to be done, still we don't do it. So you don't invite Vaikuntha children. Mostly we are inviting actually Rakshasa children, to be honest. Rakshasas are, one thing I would like to tell you, as soon as in this present modern context, when the children are naturally getting attracted to these techie things, all these technological things, they are able to figure out much better than you. Children, small children, they will be able to figure out much better than you all these complexities in a mobile or a computer. Why do you think so? Because in the previous life they were a techie. Okay, then they died and then born again. It's not some Satyuga fellow as born. Satyuga fellow will not know how to deal with it. So that itself tells you what kind of children that we are actually begetting. They are just coming from the next door. So they are not Vaikuntha children. Prabhupada said Vaikuntha children have to be invited. You chant 50 rounds, pray to Krishna deeply, go through austerities and penances, and then the husband and wife, does that great, inviting the child. And then Vaikuntha child or some Devatas will come. Otherwise, Devatas, where they Rakshasas only will come. Rakshasas, Varna Sankara is coming today. Isn't it? Most of our children are Varna Sankara children. Varna Sankara is condemned very much in Bhagavad Gita. Sankaro naraka eva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hiyesham lupta pindo dakakraya. These fellows don't even do pinda pradhan to their forefathers. Today is my father's pinda pradhan. I'm consciously speaking on this because they don't even remember the dates. When the forefathers died, forget about forefathers. Even your own father, mother, you don't do pinda pradhan in time. And 1 year if you do, that is a great thing. After that, gone. This is the effect of a Varna Sankara. Vaikuntha children are not like that. Vaikuntha children are very grateful children. They remember the love that is being given to them by their fathers, grandfather, whatever. grandfather, grandmother's grandfather, mother. Slowly, not slowly, fastly, this society is becoming very demoniac, and the offsprings of this society are going to be demoniac. And the only panacea, only corrective method is Krishna consciousness. There is no corrective method. Don't presume Vaikuntha children are coming. Is that clear? Anything else? All right. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.